Do you believe that men and women should have equal rights and opportunities? If you answered yes to this question, you are a feminist. Now, you might be thinking, yeah, of course I am. Or maybe you've never really considered yourself a feminist before. My goal in this video is to get everyone on the same page about feminism and perhaps convince you why it's important for everyone, yes, everyone, to be a feminist. Feminism, by definition, is the belief in the full social, political, and economic equality of the sexes. It's the belief that men and women should have equal rights and opportunities. In order to fully understand feminism, however, there are three key concepts that are important to differentiate: the ideas of equality and equity versus sameness. Sameness is the idea that to be equal is to be the same, or to close the differences between the sexes. Some people believe that the end goal of feminism is to achieve sameness, but this is a big misconception. Men and women are fundamentally different, and that's something that should be celebrated. In order to differentiate between equality and equity, consider two people behind a wall. In the case of equality, these people would be given the same size boxes in order to look over the wall. This is the end goal of feminism, where everyone is given the same treatment and opportunity. However, equity exists because reality looks a little bit more like this. Equity is the idea that individual needs must be taken into account when trying to achieve fairness. So the person with a disadvantage would be given a bigger box. Historically, women have been oppressed and therefore need to be given bigger boxes in order to get on the same playing field as men. You can think about equity as a stepping stone towards equality. At this point, you might be wondering, why not just say, I believe in equality versus I believe in feminism, because they mean the same thing, right? The simple answer is yes, but I want to highlight why using the term feminism matters. It matters because men are not systemically oppressed based on their sex, as women are, and this is a fact. To ignore the term feminism is to ignore the historical oppression of women and the power imbalance that still exists today. In Canada, it may seem like men and women are treated equally, but did you know that no country in the world has actually reached gender equality? Here are some of the stats in Canada. Women only get paid around 2/3 of what men do. This is a concept known as the wage gap. Less than 1 in 5 leadership roles in corporations were held by women. Women are 20% more likely than men to be a victim of violence. In addition to these staggering numbers, the greatest challenge surrounding women's rights is the existence of systemic gender discrimination. This discrimination is not as visible as other forms of injustice and can be defined as patterns of behavior, policies, or practices which create or perpetuate disadvantage for women. Systemic discrimination is the reason why the wage gap still persists in Canada, even though it's required by law to pay male and female workers the same. Getting rid of these invisible injustices is no simple task. It requires everyone to fundamentally shift their perspective and intentionally buy into feminism. So, how do you do that? Step 1. Educate yourself. Don't be ignorant or choose sides before you know the whole picture. Step 2. Remember that words matter. Calling a woman bossy for being assertive or body shaming her are examples of subtle sexism that need to stop. Step 3. Walk the walk. Show up to women's rights marches, sign petitions. Don't let sexist jokes and actions slide next time. Ultimately, it's the action you take that'll end the injustice. Step 4. Keep at it. According to the United Nations, the global gender gap will not close for another 100 years if we go at our current rate. The time for ignorance or passive support for feminism is over. We need intentional and continuous buy-in from everyone. Before we part ways, I want to bring you back to when I was in grade 9. At the time, I actually disliked the word feminism because of all the negative stigma attached to it. I thought feminists were what the media portrayed them to be, a bunch of hostile, man-hating women. But I can still remember that defining moment when I decided to become a feminist. For me, all it took was one video, Emma Watson's speech at the United Nations conference. Hopefully, this video can be the defining moment for you.